So you're gonna have to excuse me. I'm a little bit sick. Maybe it's the weather, I don't know. It's snow and now I'm like catching cold. So my voice is a little bit drawn, so you'll have to excuse me. So before we start, I'm just wondering, who has ever had a mentor in their life? Right, so probably the majority of the group. So it seems pretty intuitive that we would bring that program into the scouting movement. So we've done that in our roving crew. So today I'm going to be talking about our PDP process, how we adapt the mentoring process into our scout group. I'm going to be talking about 3 key things, in particular goal setting, the annual cycle in which we, how frequently we run these mentoring sessions, and also a few key learnings that we've picked up along the way in the last 7 years that we've done mentoring in our roving crew. So first off, goal setting. So maybe even before I jump into this part of it, I'm an advisor on the 180th Pacific Coast Scout Group, and I'm also a mentor in this group. I have six rovers that I mentor. We refer to them as mentees, and you'll know that I refer to them as mentees for the rest of this presentation. Mentoring actually takes a lot out of me, and when you have 6 mentees, that I already feel like I'm at capacity. I spend roughly anywhere between 2, 4, sometimes even 6 hours on any particular night, just sitting down with a rover and just talking about anything between their relationships, their work, their personal lives, family, all sorts of things that they want to talk about. One thing that I really strive to drive home before we start a mentoring session, when I'm starting out with a new rover, for example, is the importance of goal setting. Why is it even important, right? If my mentee doesn't really buy into why goal setting is important, then none of this stuff is going to be relevant for them. So I'm just really quickly going to talk about this example. Maybe some of you have already heard of this before. So in 1979, the Harvard Business School, they did a study. They pulled a sample of students in their MBA program. And as you know, MBA students, they're probably really driven. They really know what they want in life. They asked them a few questions. Do you have any goals? If you have goals, have you written them down? Do you have any plans of how to accomplish these goals? So they asked this group of students. So maybe, let me ask the crowd here, what percentage of these students do you think have no goals at all? Just throw numbers.
70%.
70% no goals?
80%.
80% no goals.
Can we do a little exercise? Who here has goals? Great. We'll continue that. Okay.
So actually, the first time I heard this, maybe I was not as cynical. I thought MBA students, they know what they want, right? Maybe only a few of them don't have goals, right? But what the study found in 1979 was that 84% of these students do not have any goals. 13% of these students have goals, but they didn't write it down anywhere. It's kind of, they have it in their mind, they kind of know what they want to do, but they didn't really talk about it with anybody, they haven't written it down. Only 3% of students actually have written it down, actually have plans of accomplishing these goals. So, why is that important, right? So, the next part of the study was they polled these same students 10 years later. The study was aiming to draw a correlation between how much these students earned 10 years later versus, their goal-setting habits. So, this study.
Show of hands. Put your hands back up. I know most of you had goals. Put your whole hands back up. Who of you have those goals written down? Keep the hands up.
Does Twitter count?
Does what?
Twitter count?
What do you mean by Twitter? Like one day I plan to go up Everest?
Yeah.
Is that your actual goal?
No.
Then no. Then you don't have that goal. So is it written down? Do you have a document somewhere? Paper or document with you? Okay, good. Moving on.
So just really quickly, not surprising, the 84% on average, these are just fake numbers, they earn $10,000 annually, and 13% earn twice as much because they have goals but didn't write it down. The 3% actually earn 10 times more than the other 97% combined.
Wait, what? Can you re-explain that method?
So the 13% earn twice as more than the 84%. So you'll see if they earn $10,000 in the 84%, then the 13% earn $20,000. The 3% actually earned 10 times the sum of 20 and 10.
But
10 times more than the other 97%. 10 times more.
The numbers are fake with the ratio.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
30,000.
So the salary is just arbitrary number, but to illustrate the point, 10 times more. Just because they have goals, they've written it down, and they have plans of accomplishing it. So I see some nodding heads, and I get that with my mentees as well. Before they actually kind of listen to this, they, okay, I have goals, it doesn't matter, like, I want to get fit, I'll do it somehow. But until they've actually written it down, they haven't really committed to it, and that's the point. So, as Sophie described, the Venn diagram model, we use it in our rover crew to help find that particular sweet spot for every single rover. I mean, we're still a scout group. We still have to function. We still have to fundraise. We still have to recruit. But in addition, our rovers, they have skills that they want to develop. So how do we match up the needs of our organization with what the individual rover wants? And if we can find that, if we can find a magical sweet spot, that's when we really, really know that we're really getting somewhere. We're having a very effective personal development plan. And this supports a holistic approach to our mentoring sessions in terms of we not only care about our rovers' scouting life, we care about their personal lives, their professional life, their education. We care about all facets of their life because we are very aware that all of our rovers have very busy lives. We don't think that they're all just scouters and they spend 100% of the time in scouting. We understand that they have lives outside of scouting. We want to make sure that we're catering to that as well. And of course, these goals, they need to be SMART. I see all of you, we all have with that. We all know what SMART means, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. And really, until you write down a goal matching all of this criteria, really, you're not really committing to the goal. I can say I want to get fit, and I can say I want to get fit until I'm 60. But until I set a goal where I say something like, I'm going to go jogging 3 times a week at 8 a.m. for the next 6 months. Until I set a goal like that, that's when I'm really committing myself to actually doing this. Which leads me to accountability. Setting these goals with our mentees is one way where you start becoming more accountable for these goals that we're setting. Letting someone know of these goals that you want to accomplish just magically increases the chances of you actually doing it. It does. And as mentors, we actually hold our mentees accountable for the goals that they've set. We actually have example personal development plans that we printed off that we'll show you guys at the end of this session. But we actually tell the rovers to sign the personal development plan document at the end of the session. And us as mentors, we sign it as well. This is to signify that the mentee and the mentor has committed to this particular plan, that this particular rover has committed themselves to performing the goals to the best of their ability, and the mentor is going to hold them accountable to it. So, next, the annual cycle. Our personal development plan, we do it 3 times formally every year. In September, at the beginning of the scouting year, we have our initial session where we kind of sit and talk about, what are some things you want to do this year? What are some skills you want to learn? How does that line up with our crew's business plan? So we set some goals, set some projects that they can participate in, whatever it is. And then in February, kind of in the middle of the scouting year, we kind of review these goals that they've set in September to kind of see, okay, what kind of progress are we making towards these goals? Or maybe these goals that you set in September, they're no longer relevant. You know, people's lives change, their priorities change. Are these goals that we set in September still relevant for you? And if it's not, let's make sure we augment it somehow, or maybe we have new goals for you. And then in June, when we do our year-end personal development plan, we look at the whole year. In September to February to June, we take a look at these goals, the progress, whether or not these rovers have actually achieved the goal, and if not, why not? You know, was this goal too much? What happened? Or maybe this goal wasn't really relevant. So we really need to have a debrief on this whole process to make sure that the rovers themselves are getting the most out of these sessions. So we have 3 formalized sessions, but of course, you know, you can't mentor just 3 times a year, right? You can't. I can't just talk to my mentees 3 times a year and expect to have meaningful conversations.
What are your formalized sessions look like?
We'll talk about that more towards the end. We'll show you our document, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. We'll answer that question. So we actually, of course, have ongoing dialogues. Most of us have kind of bi-weekly check-ins with our mentees. It's an ongoing conversation. It's an ongoing dialogue. It's an ongoing process. It's not just 3 times a year. I know for one of my mentees, he actually texted me every single night with his plans for the next day because he felt like he wasn't organized enough, he wasn't planning, he wasn't using his agenda enough. So we made a goal where he would text me the stuff that he wants to accomplish in the next week or the next day. So these ongoing dialogues can be as short or as frequently as they need, and it's completely up to the mentor and the mentee to decide. But it's not just 3 sessions, it's ongoing, year-round. So, lastly, a few key learnings that we've discovered in the last 7 years that we've done mentoring. So I've only done mentoring for about 4 years. I'm not that old. So I'm not an expert. There's no way. And our head advisor, John Chow, he'll always tell us that he's not an expert in mentoring. And I think to myself, if he's not an expert, then then what am I? Right? So I'm under no assumption that I know everything there is to know about mentoring. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a background in peer mentoring, anything like that. What we've really done is adapt this mentoring process into the scouting program. That's all we've done. And we've tried our best to merge the 2 together. And because we are not experts, we're constantly trying to refine our mentoring techniques, such as asking the right questions at the right time. There's numerous mentoring techniques that we have a mentoring network, and Scott and John will tell us some of those wisdom, and we'll try to apply it during our mentoring sessions. But I don't know every single mentoring technique. I don't know all the things I can say to get the most out of our mentoring sessions. So we are constantly trying to improve. Even John he'll tell us he's also trying to constantly improve as well. The more you do it, the more experience you get, the better you'll get. But you'll never be the best at it. And this point is very, very important, and I've also experienced it, in that the foundation of an effective mentoring relationship starts with trust. I can't hammer home this point enough. If there's no trust in the relationship between the mentor and the mentee, you're not going to go anywhere. And so maybe before I get to that, and trust is something that takes a lot of time to earn. It might take 6 months, it might take 2 years, 3 years, and John will tell us, some of his mentees took upwards of 6 to 7 years before the mentee starts opening up. For some people, it's really, really difficult to talk about the things that they're not good at, family issues that's preventing them from doing the things that they want to do. It takes a lot of time to earn trust, and it takes even more effort to sustain trust. One way that we've discovered to help facilitate earning trust is by being an open and honest mentor. by going into these sessions and letting our mentees know that, you know, this session is for you. You know, it's not all entirely for you. You know, I'm getting experience doing mentoring, but this whole personal development plan, all the goals that we're setting is for you to develop into a better individual. And until they start understanding that, that's when they start to show you a little bit more trust, opening up a little bit. So we've actually adopted a model. I don't exactly know where we got this from, but we've broken down trust into 4 components. So if we have high credibility, we are very reliable, and we can show our mentees that we really care about them with very low self-interest. It's not for us, it's for them. If we can do this, then we can maintain a high level of trust in the relationship. Our mentees need to understand that we really care for them, we're gonna be there for them when they need us, and we're credible. We're gonna tell them the truth. And at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about them.
You want to go back?
Yeah. Could you go back for a sec?
I can just tell you the reference. It's David Maister, so M-A-I-S-T-E-R. We can give you the information later.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a book on it.
And so just a few last points that we found. Every personal development plan, the PDP, is different, is unique. There's no lookup table where like second-year university student wants public speaking skills, so give them this project, right? That doesn't exist. Every rover has their own unique personal development plan. There's no easy way of doing this except to actually sit down with the rover and work with them to come up with a plan that's tailor-built for them. And you know, it takes years and years to be a good mentor. You know, as Scouter John says, he's not a super awesome mentor that, you know, it's gonna take a lot of time, and we understand that. And that's why in our rover crew, we have a network of mentors where we can tap into, you know, if we have any difficulties, if we have difficult questions or difficult conversations that, you know, we don't really know how to answer particular questions, well, we have a network of other mentors that we can tap into. So those are some things that we found, that we've learned. And we're gonna take this time. Do we have those sample?
Yeah, so that's it.
So we're gonna kind of just hand them out. I don't think we have enough for everybody, but we're gonna open up this time right now for questions, discussion, anything you guys want.
Yeah.
You guys don't really feel like you're inspired, but I'm kind of wondering why more people don't really do this, because it's great and we're really good at handbook. Like, there's like a specific development stage for 3 years, and we get one year of us, and why don't remember it?
So your question is, why don't more people do this?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's in the work leader's handbook,
Or it's in
right?
the-
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. and
It
it's
is.
in
Everything that we
Muslim.
do is actually in that book. There is nothing
Yeah.
that we do that's outside of the current
Yeah,
rover
we
program.
didn't invent mentoring, obviously, but it's in Wisdom. It's in the World Leaders Handbook. But the one thing I picked up on in what you said was about how for the first 3 years you'll have someone sort of looking after you. And I think we had a question earlier, or it was mentioned earlier about how